If you've been playing Animal Well, then you may have noticed some suspicious bunnies scattered around the map. You probably thought, this can't be a coincidence, because every single pixel in this game could be hiding a secret. There's definitely something going on here, and we're gonna get to the bottom of it, but not until you've at least reached the first ending, if not the second ending of the game. Eventually you will need to find all 64 eggs to see what these bunnies really are capable of, but no harm in searching for a few in the meantime. Here's how I'm gonna do things. I managed to find these first 8 bunnies on my own, so I won't straight up give you the solution for those ones, but I will give you a series of hints to help you get going in the right direction. So if I say something that gives you an idea, please go back into the game and try to figure some of these out, because doing so is extremely satisfying. The rest of them are a bit harder, and I'll try to be more direct because I honestly don't know how the community figured some of these out. I definitely had nothing to do with it, I'm just the messenger. So far we know of 16 rabbits out of a supposed grand total of 20. Although there is some speculation as to whether or not these last 4 are actually obtainable at this point, or if they even exist at all. It's time for some bunny hunting. I feel like this is the first one that a lot of people found, a little bit past the starting area. In order to get to it, you have to loop around past these cranes, maybe take a peek at the map and see if there are any suspicious areas around here. Oh, and get your bubble wand ready, you're gonna need it. You can do this with the starter bubble wand, but it'd be way easier to wait until you beat the first ending to get this one. Also, here's a little tip. If you're standing on a bubble, you can look down to make it speed up. Really wish I knew that when I recorded this one. Okay, now's the point where you're definitely going to want to wait to reach the first ending before continuing, as well as collect every item. If you need help, I do have a bunch of guides up, and the Animal Well Discord server is also a very friendly place. So in the skull room, there's a handy little face chart. Each one corresponds to a note for your flute. I'd encourage you to go out into the world and see if you can pick up on any suspicious faces like these ones, but if you need help, there's one right here in your house. Play around with your tools, and if you get stuck, maybe take a break and watch some TV. Ah, the creepy crows that stare down at you, judging your every movement. What secrets could they be hiding? I don't know, probably nothing. They're just all yelling at you for no reason. Fun fact, this bird section is actually inspired by the first Resident Evil game. Alright, I found this next one completely by accident, so don't ask me for tips. One bunny can only be seen when you have your UV light out, but it doesn't hang around one spot for too long, so it can be tricky to track down. I ran into it in this room near the hedgehogs, but apparently the most consistent way people have been getting it is by waiting by the phone in the room where you place the 4 flames, sit here until you see a little sparkle off towards the right, and then turn your light on. This one's pretty easy though, just mess around with your tools in here to find the hidden song. Oh, and by the way, if you want to know how many bunnies you've found so far, just head to load game in the main menu so you can keep track of your progress. I'd say the duck bunny was maybe the most satisfying one that I got on my own, since it's a 2-parter. First, head to this room all the way up in the top right corner of the map. Maybe get a pen out and jot down anything that looks important. Does the mural in here remind you of anything you've seen elsewhere? Maybe try poking around to the right of the 4 flames room, using the code that you've written down. If you've already found all 9 candles, which you do need to do before completing a couple of these, you might have noticed that one ghost room doesn't have a candle in it at all. Is there a way to defeat them? Perhaps based on the knowledge you gained from entering the skull room. And the last one I found all by myself, you're gonna need to pick up that mock disc again and head through the bear head. Before you try it out, maybe scope out the rooms nearby for any suspiciously rabbity looking dogs. Or just head left, down, and wait for your friend to come by. Now I knew there was something up here above the Swordfish Lake, and I tried so hard to figure out how to get past all these spikes on my own, but I just couldn't do it. The technique I ended up using only requires the disc, but I've heard of other people also using the wheel for part of it, and there might even be other ways. I ended up throwing the disc 5 times, but you can do it in only 3 throws, tossing it at the very top of your jump and repeating. If you've seen any of these pillars hanging out in the background and thought they looked a little odd, you were right. This one takes a while, so it might be best just to mark them down as you run into them. The 8 different symbols correspond with the 8 stamps you have for your map. Mark them all down and note the number on the pillar too, because the order is important. After you find them all, or most of them, all that's left is to connect the dots. The pencil will come in very handy here and allow you to discover a secret song. And after that is a super easy one that you don't even need to be awake to get. If you've left your game to idle for long enough, about 3 or 4 minutes, then a bunny will appear in your dreams. See what happens when you try to catch it. This is one of the ones I have no idea how someone figured out. First of all, I didn't even know you could use your mouse in the game, or the touchpad on your PlayStation controller. Doing this creates a little swirly smoke effect, and you can move around some vines and stuff. Speaking of vines, the dark chinchilla room down and to the right of the capybara save room has a few of them. See if you can wiggle them around enough to find something useful. All the bunnies on this list could technically be found completely on your own if you're sharp enough, except for this one, the bunny mural. This one required the 4x4 tiles from 50 different players' games to fully solve. Change the default rabbit to this new one, and you guessed it, another bunny. I tried to solve the mystery hidden in this grass to no avail. The grass is actually a barcode that you need to scan, which will then give you the code 18756753, which corresponds to this 8-note song. You can also obtain the same code in a much cooler but more tedious way. Shine your UV light on your completed egg shrine, figure out each and every number, translate that to notes, play the 64-note song without messing up once, go to a secret room, which will literally print out instructions for an origami bunny if you have a printer attached to your PC, fold up the paper, and then you'll have the code. Another one I noticed but never figured out, this bunny flower mural near the start of the game is, of course, hiding a secret. To find out what it is, you actually need to start a game in each of the game's 3 save files, taking note of the sparkly notes that play at the beginning and the shape of each flower. If you don't want to mess around with moving and deleting your save files, here's the code. And we finally made it to the last known bunny in Animal Whelp as of now, and the only one I haven't actually gotten yet. And that's because it requires some pretty tricky platforming, from this ledge all the way up here without touching the ground, where you then need to activate your remote and fall into the water so that you respawn back up here, this time with the door now open. I'll post a link to someone else's video guide in the description so you can see it done for yourself. While you're working on collecting all of these, I'm gonna go get that last bunny, and then I'll meet you all in the secret area that you can access after the second ending. Because from what I've heard, things are about to get real crazy. I guarantee that none of you are prepared for what these 16 bunnies unlock.